Let's look at some useful methods available with the array objects in JavaScript. Some of these methods are concat, join, push and pop, slice, splice, and sort. So let's start with the concat method. The concat method, as the name suggests, is used for joining two or more arrays into a single array. For example, if we have these two arrays named A and B, if we say a.concat and pass B as an argument, the resulting array will be this. Alright? By the way, the original arrays remain intact. The method returns a new array such that the resulting array contains all the elements of A followed by all the elements of B. Alright? Let's try it on the console. Let's create two arrays first. The first one has elements 1, 3 and 5. And the second array has elements 2, 4 and 6. Alright. Now let's do a.concat and pass B as an argument. And the resulting array has the elements 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. Alright. Notice that the original arrays A and B are unchanged. The concat method created a new array and returned it. If we want to keep it for future use, we must keep the result in a variable, alright? Let's create another array C with elements 10, 11 and 12. This is to show that we can concatenate multiple arrays at the same time. So now we can do a.concat and pass B and C as arguments separated by a comma. This concatenates arrays B and C to the array A. It is as good as saying a.concat B.concat C. That is, we can chain the method calls because each of these calls returns a new array. Of course, the earlier version of concatenating more than one arrays should be used because that should be a little more efficient, saving the cost of intermediate array creation and function calls. Alright, so now let's get to the next method, join. From the name, it seems like it would be doing something similar to the concat method. But actually it's quite different from that. The join method works over an array and gives a string representation of that array. Let's join the elements of array A. And as you can see, we get a string which contains all the elements of the array separated by commas. Comma is the default separator when we join an array. But we can optionally pass another separator string to the join method. So let's say we want to separate each method by a pipe. We can do it like so. Let's see the next method, push, which adds a new element at the end of the array. And it returns the new length of the array. So if we push 7 into the array A, the new length is returned, which is 4. And if we see the contents of A, this is how it looks like. 7 added to the end. Similar to the push method, we have the unshift method, which can add an element at the start of the array. So let's unshift 9 to this array A. And if we print this array, you can see that 9 is added at the start of the array. After adding items, let's see how to remove and get the first and last elements of an array. We use pop to get the last item of the array. And this item is also removed from the array, decreasing the length of the array. This method removes the last item and returns it. The push and pop methods are quite similar to the push and pop methods of a stack data structure. So in JavaScript, you can just use an array as a stack without having to do any other additional thing. Just like the pop method, we have the shift method which removes and returns the item from the start of the array. Let's look at the slice and splice methods now. The slice method returns the selected elements in an array as a new array object without affecting the original array. The slice method takes two arguments, start and end. Start is the start index from where to slice the array up to the end index, not including the end index. So here if we say slice from 1 to 4, then the new array will contain elements at index 1, 2 and 3 from the old array. Alright. Also the end argument is optional. And if we pass only one argument, that is the start index, and the array will be spliced from this start index to the end of the array. That is all the elements of the array after the start index, including the one at the start index. Okay. The splice method is one which changes the original array it is acting upon, unlike the others we have seen. It adds, removes items to or from an array and returns the removed items. Let's say we have this array of some letters from the Greek alphabet, and we want to remove elements from the second index onwards. So we can say Greek.splice and pass 2 as an argument, which is the index of the array from where the elements are to be removed. As you can see, this method call has returned the elements that were removed from the original array, and the original array contains only the first two elements. This time all the elements from the start index to the last were removed, but we can control how many elements are to be removed. So apart from the start index, we can pass the optional how many parameter, which says after the start index how many items are to be removed. So let's try this on the console. Let's start with the original array, but now starting from the second index, let's remove 3 elements. And now our original array is this, while the removed elements are returned by the splice method. There is one more thing that we can do with the splice method. We can use it to replace elements of an array. Let's start with the original array, and then we replace 3 elements from index 4 with these 2 elements, which we have passed as a comma separated list of arguments after the how many argument. Alright. So now if you look at this array, we see these 3 elements are replaced with the 2 elements that we have passed. You can pass any number of elements here. This method takes a variable argument list. Alright.